All right, well, welcome to another Cal OSHA Quick Take. I think we mentioned last month that we're working again with our partners at Conn Maciel Carey to bring you OSHA Quick Takes, and this year we're introducing the Cal OSHA Quick Takes as well. So today we're going to be talking about the importance of knowing Cal OSHA's frequently cited regulations, an overview of the top 10 cited regulations, including those unique to California, and some industry-specific priorities, future predictions, and best practices. And that's the Cal OSHA Quick Take, I should mention, is prelude to the full webinar that Conn Maciel Carey will be doing February 21st at 10 a.m. Pacific time. So we've got Rachel Conn and Megan Chickhead and Sam Rose with us today to do the quick take. So I'll turn it over to Rachel. Are you kicking things off today for us?
I am. Thank you, Scott. And we're looking forward to putting on this webinar on Cal OSHA's top violations. Now, every year, Cal OSHA publishes on its website its top 10 most frequently cited standards. So why is that important for employers? Why are we doing a whole webinar on it? Because it gives you a great idea of what Cal OSHA's enforcement areas are, focus areas are. You know, for the first 5 of these should probably not be a surprise for most employers, but the one thing that we really do want to emphasize, and we will emphasize on the webinar as well, is how we've seen Cal OSHA cite employers, tips for avoiding these types of citations. A lot of this is low-hanging fruit for Cal OSHA. And so we'll get into all of these. And Cal OSHA publishes this information for the same reason, that they too want employers to take note of where their focus areas are and give employers the opportunity to get in front of these issues since they are so common for everyone. So I'll turn it over to Sam, who can give us a little bit more detail about what to expect on our webinar.
Thanks, Rachel. So as Rachel just explained, we will cover the top 10 regulations that Cal OSHA typically cites employers for. We could probably do an entire presentation on each of those, so we'll try and keep it to the basics on each of those 10. But one of the most interesting points to note about California is that many of these frequently cited citations are unique to California. They don't line up with the Fed OSHA data. So we will point out where those discrepancies are and make sure to point out to employers who might not be familiar with California or don't have as many operations here, things they should be aware of specifically to the state. Those include IIPP, HIPP, COVID, and reporting requirements. So we'll cover each of those maybe in a little more detail for those employers. With that, I'll turn it over to Megan.
Thanks, Sam. Yeah, the other thing that we are looking to do during this webinar is give a little bit of historical data as well, because Cal OSHA not only makes this information available for the current year, there's quite a bit of information for past years. So we can also, gain a little bit more insight about additional regulations that have made the list in the past, but maybe got pushed off because of in particular, the priority of COVID regulation over the last few years. So we'll offer any information that could be helpful on that front. And then we'll also, with kind of that same thought in mind, but moving forward, what we think might show up on the list in the future, what, priorities we know that the agency has in mind now. And another thing to keep in mind as we're kind of reviewing these regulations and getting into the weeds is that sometimes you might have an inspection that's stemming from an injury or a complaint on a particular issue, but the agency is going to ask about some of these frequently cited regulations regardless, right? So they'll ask for your injury and illness prevention program and your heat illness prevention program, even if it doesn't appear to be an issue with that particular reporting or that particular complaint. So it's just good things to keep in mind in terms of the priorities of the agency and also priorities of your own safety programs. And so like Rachel mentioned, we'll offer some best practices for, what you can do right away and kind of what you can do in your list of priorities for taking this information and helping to improve your program.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That I think you mentioned the low hanging fruit, and if there are complaints or injuries, OSHA is definitely going to poke around, and it's probably that 80-20 rule. If you put in a little bit of effort to make sure you've got those top 10 citations covered off, then you're probably looking good. But if you neglect them, OSHA will definitely do their best to find them, right?
Absolutely.
Great. Well, like we mentioned, February 21st, 10 a.m. Pacific time, we'll include the links down below in the description, so you can click over and register for that full 1-hour webinar on the 21st. Thanks everyone for joining today.
Thanks, Scott.